Describe a time when you carefully reviewed a document or data for accuracy and consistency. How did you do it?
Okay, so there's been multiple times where we have forms and they're legal forms at the place I worked at, such as there's power of attorneys, and these forms have to be properly filled out with all the information, as well as I have to be a witness when they sign it. So before I take it from the patient, I make sure I review everything is there. All the requirements are filled out, watch them sign it. And then we have to also document in their chart that we did receive the document, as well as print a label for them. And I proofread and make sure everything is there before I send it into scanning to him to put it into the chart.
Tell me about a time when you identified and applied a best practice in your work. What was the impact?
So a time where I did my best practice would honestly be just the customer service part, especially with patients. There's many moments where you're under stress with maybe deadlines you have to do, or you're multitasking, and there could be a difficult patient in front of you, or they may ask me questions that I need to figure out the answer to. So the best practice is I try to stay calm. I try to listen to them and put them first. And it's just about not being, letting your stress kind of show and staying calm.
Even though a problem might be an exciting challenge, it is sometimes more effective to learn from others than to try to solve in isolation. Share a problem solving experience in which you apply lessons you learned from others who have encountered similar problems or challenges.
Okay, so there was a moment, certain things I'm still am learning at my job place, such as um, transcribing a lab order, which is where you take an outside order, you transcribe it into our system so that we can create our own order for our lab to draw it for them. And there's a lot of people are unsure on how to do it in my department, and I've witnessed a few people do it and watched because I wanted to learn. And there was a moment where a patient came to me and I had to transcribe the order, and I pulled up my instructions and did it, but I got to a point where I was very unsure, and a part of me wanted to like skip through and try to do it, but seeing the other person do it before, it's okay to go get the manager. And I did go get my manager, and she helped me with the following steps that I needed to complete, and I was able to transcribe it. So I think it's important, like you said, not to do it in isolation. It's okay to ask for help to make sure it's done right.
Describe a decision you made that shows your use of good judgment in routine, day to day decisions.
So daily with my job, with working with patients and viewing documents, and even the scheduling part, I'm witnessing things that are legal. I'm putting in information like I believe the patient chart, and I've learned, is a legal document. And I think it's really important to have that attention to detail to everything and being honest, in what I'm looking at in the chart. Is it for business purpose, or is it for curiosity? And I always check myself to make sure that I'm doing everything with integrity and honesty, and documenting, because it is a legal document, and making sure it's not anything out of my curiosity or to share with someone else. So I think day to day, you have to have that integrity in your work.
Describe a challenging situation that demonstrates your skill in dealing effectively with people in order to get your work accomplished.
So, like kind of the other question, there is a lot of moments where I may have a coworker who's asking me for help, as well as maybe a patient on hold on the phone, and then a patient in front of me needing something. So I guess it's more about not letting your stress show and taking care of each thing at once, letting the patient on hold know that you'll be right with them, asking your coworker to hold on one moment and taking care of the needs of the patient in front of you right now. We're even asking them to simply, could you please wait in the lobby and I'll be right with you. And I think it's just strategizing in what order you're going to do and keeping it without stress and not feeling like you're going to explode dealing with all these things at once.
Describe a time when you used active and attentive listening skills to verify that you understood correctly.
So there was a moment at a clinic I used to work at. They were still kind of figuring out procedures and specific policies, and there was a new procedure they wanted to do with the billing and insurance, and our manager and the provider who owned the clinic specifically had us in a meeting and stated everything that we needed to do for this and what was required. And, I made sure that I listened to everything, took notes, as well as ask questions. I think that's really important, is to always ask questions to make sure that you clearly understand something.
Tell me about a situation where you responded constructively to a difference of opinion. What did you do and say?
So at the previous clinic I worked at, like I said, they were going under different procedures and policies, and there actually was a policy they were working on, and they openly asked our opinion. And I initially didn't agree with the flow of what they wanted to do. It was with the billing and the insurance and a payment amount of what to collect from the patient who are new. And I listened to what the provider, my manager, had stated why we were doing this and listened to that, as well as they were open to hear what I had to say about the policy. And eventually we were able to compromise and find a policy that works best and set a good price for the patient.
Describe a time when you interpreted a situation and information objectively despite being stressed and then took logical follow-up action.
So there was a moment I've had in my workplace where the provider, I went to ask her a question about an appointment, and then she had also given me a lot of other requests and wanted to change a lot of things on her schedule. And, I tried to not take it personal. She did, her delivery may have been not what I would expected than listening to her message. And I had to really decide in that moment, okay, listen to what she wanted and then carry out that to my manager to see if that was okay. As well as I know, and I was feeling stressed and bombarded with the request, I didn't let that show. And I told myself it's nothing personal. It's just a work matter. And she's just asking it's a professional question to answer. But I did go to my manager to get clarification, but I did make sure, like I said, I didn't show that I was stressed or not wanting to hear her, listen to her requests.
Describe a time when you voluntarily identified a useful class and enrolled in it to continue your education.
So at my workplace, about a year ago, we had a change in our electronic record system, and it's still changing. It's still growing. A lot of us are still learning it. And they occasionally have training classes at the main campus where you can go to, and that's optional, but your manager will give you the time off to do it, and you get paid for it as well. And it's optional. So I decided there was something with the scheduling part that I really wanted to learn more. And I saw when they had an enrollment date, and I did enroll into it, and it's helped me a lot, and I was able to teach my other coworkers as well.
What does diversity mean to you?
Diversity to me in the workplace is basically not singling anyone out based off of maybe difference of opinions. It's listening to others when you're collaborating on something. A lot of us are from different backgrounds of education and experience, and listening to all those ideas. And I think it's important to have diversity in a workplace because not everyone's the same. One idea may be better than another, or you can try one idea, it doesn't work. At least you have maybe a million other ideas from other people to try. And I think that's important to have all those differences to make it flowing, especially in healthcare, since it's ever changing and there's always something new to learn. Thank you.